YouTube, it is me again, your favorite Texas trucker, and I am at home. This is Tuesday. I did several videos yesterday. We loaded up on asking the question, do you really want to be a owner-operator? And we are continuing that today. Quick update before we begin. Don't want to spend much time on it, but I just spent quite a bit of time up at Triple C, and my truck is in the shop, but the parts have not come in yet. They're expecting the parts to come in sometime this morning. Told them to give me a call and let me know when they got here. We'll find out. I don't know. They're going to pull the mechanic off everything he's working on and get him on my truck as soon as they come in. So that's the update on that. I'll let y'all know more once I know more. Even if the truck's done today, earliest I'll be able to pick up a load is tomorrow. So this week's fucking shot too. 2 weeks in a row. At least, maybe I can get enough income coming in this week to at least break even on my expenses. So, as far as my income goes, I can deal with that. I've got a little bit of money in the bank, so, and I can make up the difference. So, we're continuing the question, do you really want to be an owner-operator? And up till now, a lot of the stuff I've said has been fairly negative. You have a lot of expenses, a lot of things you got to track, a lot of responsibilities that you got to take care of, and when you sit down and you just look at my expenses alone, the amount of expenses that I personally have put into maintaining my own truck, just one truck, it can be overwhelming, and it can seem like it's just not worth it. I had one guy comment on one of the videos yesterday. He said, man, after seeing all the bullshit you've been through, I'll just stay a company driver. And maybe that's a good decision. Bottom line is it is a bunch of bullshit. There's a lot of shit that you have to put up with as an owner-operator that you don't have to put up with as a company driver. A lot of expenses that come out of your own pocket that don't come out of your pocket as a company driver. But there's a lot more money to be made also. So it's a trade-off. I have this thing that I call the bullshit factor, and I use it. I use it to kind of gauge anything that I do. Whether it's being an owner-operator, working for Triple C, being a company driver, working for any particular company. I got this thing I call the bullshit factor, and the bullshit factor is essentially this: it's how much bullshit I'm willing to put up with for the amount of money that I'm making. And the more money that I make, the more bullshit I'm willing to put up with. The less money I make, the less bullshit I'm willing to put up with. So the more difficult, the more demanding, the more bullshitty my job is. Bullshitty, that's a word. The more bullshitty my job is, the less, the less I'm willing to put up with. You know what I'm saying? Good money, more bullshit. You deal with what you got to deal with to make what you got to do. And there's a saying in this world, and I know everybody's heard it, and that is that in order to make money, you got to spend money. You can't make money without spending it. And so we get the amount of money that we get. We make the amount of money that we make because we have to spend money in order to make money. And the object in that is that at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, or at the end of the month, or at the end of the year, whatever the case may be, we will have profited enough money to make the bullshit that we've had to put up with worth it. Okay, so let's talk about some of the pros of being an owner-operator. All right, I was talking to a gentleman last night. He lives here in Weatherford, and he contacted me on one of my videos, and he said that he was wanting to, he was looking into signing on to Triple C as a company driver. And he wanted to talk to me personally and get the driver's perspective because he'd already gotten the company line. And so, we talked on the phone for a little bit. We texted back and forth a little bit. And, he asked me some questions. Well, some of the questions, honestly, I don't know. Because I'm not a company driver. So I know that as an owner-operator, I have the freedom to go where I want to go. My truck goes where I want my truck to go. Let's say, for instance, I'm sitting in Wisconsin somewhere, and I can't find a load. There's no load, or what load there is so low of a rate that I'm not willing to haul it. Then, and I decide that I want to deadhead 200 miles and go to Rochelle, Illinois, and see about getting a load right there, which I have actually done. I've done that, and I can do that without having to ask for permission. I don't have to ask for permission. I don't have to, say anything. I don't have to wait for. I got a phone call coming in. We will call him back. I don't have to wait for shit. You know what I'm saying? All I have to do is start my engine and tell somebody where I'm going and go there. And I don't even honestly have to tell you where I'm going. It just doesn't make sense not to. As a company driver, though, you don't have that option. So, as a company driver, you go where you're told to go, when you're told to go there, how you're told to go there. He asked me if he could have a pet in his truck, and honestly, I've never thought about the question. I don't know. I don't know if you can or not. I would assume that it depends on who owns the truck, because see, Kevin owns some of the trucks up there. Matt owns some of the trucks up there. There's a couple of other people. Chad owns a couple of the trucks up there. There's another, at least two other fleet owners up there that own trucks up at Triple C. And so I would assume that it depends on what the owner of the truck thinks. If the owner of the truck doesn't mind a dog being in the truck, then it doesn't matter. If I want to take a dog out in the truck, I don't have to answer to anybody. I just take the dog with me. So, there's advantages to being an owner-operator. One of the advantages to being an owner-operator is you're pretty much, for the most part, again, this is dependent upon where you sign on at. I'm speaking of my experience with Triple C. I'm not speaking about my experience as an owner-operator with Mercer or CRST Malone or Snyder or John Christner Trucking or, Landstar or any of the other places that, you could sign your truck onto. I'm speaking about my experiences here at Triple C. And with Triple C, I go where I want to go, when I want to go there. I take loads. I work the areas that I want to work. I don't go where I don't want to go, so on and so on. If I decide that I want to take off, then, I don't have to put in a request to get a day off, or I don't have to put in a home time request. I just say, I'm going home. Get me home. End of story. I'm talking to Triple C right now, trying to work with them on working out some way for some of us drivers, at least, some of us owner-operators, to have access to a load board and to work load boards on our own instead of having to wait on dispatch to get our dispatch. Some owner-operator companies, like, again, Landstar, CRST Malone, and I don't know, I know Prime and I think Snyder all have access to load boards, and so the drivers there, they dispatch themselves. Triple C, we don't dispatch ourselves, we use dispatchers, but I'm working on trying to help them or entice them to develop a program where owner-operators can dispatch themselves, and I think that would alleviate some of the stress and some of the issues that we've had to deal with, and of course, I doubt they're going to allow every driver to do it, if they allow any of us to do it. I just spent 2 hours talking to them about it today, so, we'll just have to see how that goes, where it goes, how it goes, whatever the case may be. So there's advantages to being an owner-operator, and the advantage to being an owner-operator is that, you work for yourself, even if you're signed on with another company. One of the things Triple C is fond of telling people who are owner-operators there is you don't work for Triple C, we are partners in business together. And that's very important, and that's kind of what I'm talking about, the advantage to being an owner-operator. You are in partnership with Triple C if you work for Triple C. And the way it should work, the way that it should be designed to work, is that you should be a partner with the company that you are signed on to, all right? And you shouldn't be an employee of that company. You should be a partner in that company. Together that you make money. One of the things that I learned, or I didn't really learn it, but it was just kind of presented in a way that made it kind of a forefront issue, is that the only person in a transportation company that generates revenue is the driver. Okay, your job as a driver is to pick up freight and move freight to another location, and you're the one that gets paid. The driver is who gets paid. The dispatchers, they don't generate revenue. The safety officer doesn't generate revenue. The The operations manager doesn't generate revenue. The recruiter doesn't generate revenue. Nobody in that company, nobody who works for a transportation company generates revenue except for the company driver. I mean, except for the driver, not the company driver, but the driver. The person that actually picks up the freight and delivers the freight. Now, a company driver generates that revenue with the help of tools that are owned by somebody else. The truck and the trailer are your tools. In some cases, for flatbedders that drive for companies, they may issue them flatbed equipment, chains, binders, edge protectors, coil racks, straps, ratchet straps, so on and so on. They may issue you those tools, and then so those are part of your tools also. But the company driver generates revenue, but he generates revenue using somebody else's tools. Okay, therefore the person that owns the tools being the truck, the trailer, and the assorted equipment that goes with that, the person that owns the tools is the one who gains the benefit of the revenue. Whereas as an owner-operator, the owner-operator also owns the tools. Okay, so the person that owns the tools makes the bulk of the revenue. Now I pay 20%. New drivers, new owner-operators signing on the CCC right now only get 75%. I'm grandfathered in under their previous rate of 80%. And so I pay 20% of my income, 20% of the revenue that I create by delivering freight, I pay to CCC. In return for that, I gain the dispatch service, I gain the IFTA tracking service, and they pay all of my IFTA accounts for free. I don't pay anything that comes out of that 20%. They maintain, all the trailer maintenance for a trailer that I rent at $100 a week. And they handle all the paperwork, the billing, the collections, so on and so on and so on. A lot of people may think that rate is fairly high. I'm giving up 20% of my revenue so that they can handle the business end, the office end of my paperwork, and everything attributed to the office end of the paperwork, including the DOT inspections, so on and so forth. So for me, right now, in this stage of my life, being leased on the CCC is the perfect decision. I pay 20% of my revenue because I'm the only person. When I say I mean I collectively, all of us owner-operators, us drivers. We are the ones that generate the revenue for CCC. Okay, nobody else at CCC generates that revenue. Nobody else at CCC does anything that makes money. Everybody else in CCC is an administrator. They administrate. They manage. They don't make money. All right, and so as an owner-operator, that's one of your biggest advantages. Your biggest advantage is that you are the generator of all the income, and you own the equipment that generates that income. So that gives you the freedom of being able to dictate what you do, when you do it, how you do it, where you do it, and how fast you do it. It's a huge advantage to being an owner-operator, in my opinion. Some people shouldn't be owner-operators. There's some people, and this is a question you got to ask, do you have the capacity? Do you have the ability to be an owner-operator? Is this something that you're capable of accomplishing? And some people simply aren't. There's nothing wrong with that. If everybody in this world was a follower, then we wouldn't have any leaders. And if everybody in this world was a leader, we wouldn't have any followers. There's a place for people who are entrepreneurial, who have the desire and the drive to push forward and move forward. In order to be an owner-operator, you have to be self-motivated. You have to be self-driven. You have to be, you have to be able to operate without somebody holding your hand. And if you're not that type of person, if you're the type of person that doesn't do well, that struggles when there's not somebody there giving you clear instructions, if you're the type of person that struggles when you have to be self-motivated or self-driven or self-reliant, well, then maybe being an owner-operator is probably not the best decision for you. If you're the type of person that does best when you receive, all of your instructions, in step-by-step method, like, where you can fuel at, when you can fuel, what route you have to take, and you know, where your load's going and where your load's picking up, and, you know, which of course I get that information on where my load's going and where it's picking up at myself. But if you're the type of person that needs everything automated for you, well, maybe being an owner-operator is really not the best decision. So those are questions that you really kind of have to ask yourself, because as an owner-operator, a lot of this falls on your shoulders. At Triple C, I have a dispatcher, all right, but my dispatcher is my partner, all right. I don't work for my dispatcher. My dispatcher is my partner. Tana is a top-notch, badass dispatcher. She is an awesome dispatcher. And I can't speak highly enough about her or the team at Triple C. But the bottom line is that I have to stay on top of her all the time. Not because she can't do her job, without a doubt, not because she can't do her job, but because I'm an owner-operator. I'm an owner-operator, and it's ultimately my responsibility. If I sit for 5 hours waiting on a load, that's not her fault. That's my fault. It's my fault because she has to multitask. She has, you know, hundreds of tasks that she has to deal with every day, and it's difficult for her to stay on one particular driver all the time. So what do? Is I stay on top of her. You know, I make sure she doesn't forget about me. I make sure that I'm not, you know, that I'm not sitting any longer than I absolutely have to be sitting. I'm kind of hard on her sometimes, and I bet I've frustrated her and aggravated her sometimes, but we work good together as a team. And if they were to switch dispatchers right now, I would be pretty pissed off. You know, so there's advantages to being an owner-operator. The advantage being that you dictate, because you own the equipment, you own the tools. Not only are you the only person in the company that generates revenue, but you're the person that owns the tool that generates revenue. And when you own the tool, and when you own the equipment, then you get to dictate a hell of a lot more about what you do than when they own the equipment, okay? Because when they own the equipment, they dictate to you. You own the equipment, you dictate to them. Big difference, big huge difference. And for me, it's a pivotal difference, and it's the reason why I personally would never go back to being an owner-operator. Video's going on a lot longer than I intended. We're coming up on 18 minutes right now. Let me go ahead and cut this short. Like the video, share the video, tell people about it. Take my videos, if you will, and put them on your Facebook page. I would certainly appreciate it. Much love to y'all. Couldn't do this without you. If you have any questions, if you have anything in particular that you want me to comment on or you want me to talk about, please leave them in the comments. I do see almost every comment most of the time. Peace out.